Crocheting 101, How to Crochet for Complete Beginners. Brought to you by Club Crochet and produced by Louie's Loops. That's me. Chapter 5, Decreasing. Alright, so decreasing is going to be a bit more difficult than increasing. The first thing to know is, with decreasing, you're trying to make the end stitches less than before, rather than bigger like increasing. For example, you'll want to go from 18 stitches down to 12, meaning that you decrease 6 times throughout the round. The tricky part is that there's a lot of different ways to decrease, all of which offer different pros and cons, so let's talk about them. Quick note, these methods are mostly used for single crochet, but some of the methods, like single crochet 2 together, can be used for other stitches, which we'll learn later on. The single crochet 2 together. Probably the easiest method, but in my opinion, not the best, mostly because it can be very noticeable and it doesn't decrease as sharply. That being said, it's what you should probably be starting with if you're a beginner. Here's how it's done. Step 1. Insert the hook into the next stitch. Yarn over and pull through. Step 2. Now repeat the process. Insert the hook into the next stitch, yarn over, and pull through again. There should be 3 loops on the hook now. Finally, yarn over and pull a loop through all 3 loops on the hook to finish that stitch. And that's the single crochet 2 together. The decrease, aka sharp decrease. I simply call this the decrease, but a more correct name would be the sharp decrease. This is because it can be used to make a really flat and sharp end to your piece. It's great to use at the end of your amigurumi projects to really close in that loop. But I wouldn't use it throughout a project because it can be very noticeable. Now here's how it's done. Step 1, insert the hook into the next stitch, yarn over, and pull through. Step 2, again, like the last version of decreasing, you insert the hook into the next stitch, yarn over, and pull through again. Now here's where it's a little bit different. Finish off by pulling this last loop through the 2 on the hook. Notice how this really pulls the stitch in and makes it close in more rapidly. It's great if you need a very flat bottom, but not if you are trying to make a less noticeable decrease. The invisible decrease. A personal favorite, like the name suggests, the invisible decrease, aka INVDEC, is made so that the decreases are the least noticeable. It's mostly used in amigurumi, but really can be used for any pattern as long as you're working in the round. And it's a great alternative to the single crochet 2 together. The 2 cons are that they can be kind of difficult to do and that they don't decrease as drastically as the other methods will. But before we learn this awesome stitch, we need to talk about the front and the back loops of your stitches. The front and the back loops. When you look at the top of your stitches, you can see that they are split into 2 strands of yarn, which form a V. By working into only one of these 2 stitches, you can learn to manipulate the yarn even more. The back loop is the one furthest away from you, right here, and the front loop is the one closest to you, right here. Okay, so now that you know the difference between the front loop and the back loops, let's learn the invisible decrease. Step 1. Insert the hook into the front loops of the next 2 stitches. The easiest way to do this is to go one by one. First entering the first front loop, and then getting it around and going through the next front loop. Step 2. Now you just have to make a single crochet. Yarn over and pull that through the 2 front loops right here. Now finish off by yarning over again and pulling through the last 2 loops on the stitch, like you would a single crochet. I rarely, if ever, use a single crochet 2 together for my pieces. This is because it does basically the same thing as the invisible decrease, but it's more noticeable. Think about what you're trying to accomplish in your piece before you choose which method to use. I forgot to mention, you can also skip stitches to decrease. This is really only useful at the very beginning of a row when you're working in the flat. I left it out of the list because A, it's really easy and obvious, you just skip a stitch. And B, it's the worst method to use when you're working in the round because it leaves big holes in your piece. So disclaimer. Do not use skipping stitches to decrease in the round. So if you want to use a decrease in your piece and you're working in the round, well, what do? Well, you can decrease at any time you want, but to make it even and steady, we have to decrease evenly throughout the piece. Remember how when we were increasing, we only increased by what we made in our first round? When you're starting out crocheting, I highly suggest you stick to the exact same method, but replace the increases in the tutorial with decreases. For example, we have 18 stitches and we want to go evenly by the same amount we started with, 6 stitches in round 1, remember? So we decrease 6 times throughout this round. Where we do this is the same as the increases too. Let's look back at round 3 from chapter 4. Not row 3, but round 3, when we were increasing in the round. In that round, we single crocheted 1 in the first stitch, then increased in the next, and repeated that process 6 times total, and ended up going from 12 stitches to 18. Now we want to go backwards, and you guessed it, we'll single crochet 1 in the first, and then decrease in the next, repeating that 6 times. Oh, by the way, these little brackets are a way that I split up a repetition. I use them for other things too, but usually to split up the round into different sections. And the number in parentheses is the number of stitches you're going to have at the end of the round. Crocheting 101 is brought to you by Club Crochet, a club made specifically for hookers. It offers new weekly patterns and projects, including full video tutorials, monthly kits with all the materials needed mailed directly to your door, classes and groups made to learn new techniques and make new friends, and more. Plans start at only $5 a month. Get hooked at clubcrochet.com. Thank you so much for watching. Crocheting 101 was independently created by me, Louie, with the support from my more than awesome Kickstarters that you can see on the screen now. This project took a really long time to complete, so if you liked it, please let me know by liking the video down below and subscribing and following Louie's Loops on any social media. Okay, now let's put those skills to the test. When you're ready to move on to the next project, check out the link down below or on the screen now. Happy hooking and pasta la pizza!